l'existence de l'Ebola, moi, je n'y crois pas.
La maladie a été politisée. On nous force de croire que la maladie existe.
People speaking in a region where more than 1,400 of their neighbours have died in an outbreak of the deadly hemorrhagic fever around the cities of Beni and Butembo in North Kivu in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The province has been at war for more than 20 years. Many residents see the Ebola outbreak as just another weapon brought in from outside to be used against the population. Suspicion, rumours, and conspiracy theories, with consequences on the ground. In the 10 months after the outbreak started in 2018, there were 132 attacks on medical personnel. 38 people were wounded, and 4 killed. So why this mistrust of doctors who were sent to help? France 24's observers in the region have been following the outbreak from the start. They explain where things went wrong, a failure to communicate from the very beginning. On the 1st of August 2018, 4 cases of Ebola were confirmed in North Kivu. International medical teams arrive within days. They set up treatment centres, known as ETCs. Under the supervision of the government and the World Health Organization, NGOs like Doctors Without Borders and the Red Cross set up what will become known locally as the riposte, the response to Ebola. Their priority, to quickly contain the outbreak, using a new vaccine in its first large-scale test. But in a region whose problems have been so long overlooked, the sudden interest arouses suspicion.
People wondered what was going on when Ebola hit our region. We've been living through war here, and our own country, and the international community too, hasn't made the same kind of an effort to put an end to the fighting. But the moment it's about Ebola, we see convoys of SUVs arriving. Everyone starts making statements.
It's the first outbreak of Ebola in an active conflict zone. The area, sometimes known as the Triangle of Death, is home to dozens of armed groups. Among them, the ADF, rebels from neighbouring Uganda, and the Mai Mai, local militias active since the 1990s. There are regular massacres. More than 1,000 residents have been killed since 2013. This is the world the Ebola treatment centres come into. Some residents believe the disease was brought in deliberately to hurt the local population, mostly members of the Nunde ethnic group. In October, rumour turns to violence. Medical teams conducting so-called safe and dignified burials are attacked with rocks and stones. With victims' bodies and even clothes highly contagious, the teams have to transfer the remains in sealed body bags and bury them quickly. The families kept at a distance, unable to see the body.
The people believed there was organ trafficking going on, that people were being deliberately killed in the treatment centres. They said to themselves, how can they bury our loved ones when we can't even see their bodies? They seized the coffins and opened them up. They even opened up the body bags to check if the person was inside.
The outbreak hit North Kivu in an important election year. On the 26th of December, just 4 days before national elections, the people of Beni and Butembo learn they won't get to vote for a new president. The reason given? The Ebola outbreak. Anger spills into the streets. Anger that has already been stoked by some local politicians. The fact-checking group Congo Check has been following the situation closely.
Certain politicians and other local leaders took advantage of the epidemic to spread rumours among the population. saying that Ebola was being used as a tool to reduce the population of Beni and Butembo because they tend to support the opposition. I'm thinking especially of opposition MP Mindule.
We want to know the origin of this outbreak. Where did it come from? The minister needs to tell us the origin. If he doesn't, we have to believe the virus was made in a lab and brought here to exterminate us, just like people are being killed in Beni.
There were other local leaders who stayed silent. With so many people denying the existence of Ebola, they were afraid that if they defended the response teams, they'd lose support.
The presidential vote is scrapped. Parliamentary elections postponed for 3 months. On December the 27th, there are demonstrations in Beni and Butembo. Ebola treatment sites are attacked. It's clear that some locals believe the disease has been used for political reasons.
You see what happened in Butembo. They used Ebola as an excuse to postpone the election.
Conspiracy theories spread online.
I told you, the Ebola outbreak is a complete fabrication. They used it to justify postponing the elections. The messages mostly circulated via WhatsApp and Facebook, in groups with a lot of people from Butembo. It made things complicated.
Congo Czech does what it can to counter the rumours. In February, the attacks turn deadly. On February 19th, nurse Joseph Kambale Sanane is killed in Vahovi. 5 days later, the treatment centre in Katwa is burned to the ground.
I'm a nurse at the Katwa ETC. I witnessed the attack. The militia fighters attacked the centre around 10:30 p.m. It was completely unexpected. We were terrified. They burned a lot of equipment and supplies. They didn't believe the virus exists. They were singing a kind of song that went, "We don't want this centre here anymore."
February 27th, the treatment centre in Butembo is attacked and a police officer killed. March 9th, the same centre is attacked again and another policeman killed. Doctors Without Borders temporarily suspends its operations at the two centres. The government blames the attacks on Mai Mai militias. Several militiamen are arrested. And on April 19th, 3 armed men get inside Butembo Hospital and kill an epidemiologist from Cameroon, Richard Muzoko. They leave a handwritten note.
We warn the Ebola response teams that we will exterminate them.
If the militia members come back to attack us, we might have to close the centre for our own safety. It frightens us. We deserve better. We want the authorities to keep us safe. They've even started attacking us in our homes. We don't know how it's going to end.
The response teams learn to be discreet about their work. On April 24th, they hold a demonstration with a message reminding people why they are there. Before the attacks, new cases were averaging 30 to 40 a week. In March and April, they shoot up, hitting 100 a week. On May 4th, the total number of dead hits 1,000. This strain is especially deadly. 70% of the people who contract the virus die. The rumours make it hard to isolate.
One consequence of these rumours is that people who get sick hide, so they don't get taken to one of the Ebola centres. They self-medicate. They even hold funerals in secret.
The WHO says it's become impossible to stop the outbreak. The response team's tactics come under fire too.
A lot of people think the health workers are just doing it for the money. They accuse them of acting like authorities, instead of people who are there to help.
Convoys of SUVs, talk of inflated salaries. Word goes round that the outbreak is a lucrative business in a region where the average monthly salary is 15 euros. The second major concern, the death rate in the treatment centres and the possibility of transmission inside the facilities.
What would you think of a medical facility where 90% of the people who go in die and only 10% get better? Of course people are afraid. When they tell you you're going to an ETC, you know you're going to die.
The response teams admit there have been infections within facilities, though at hospitals and clinics, not necessarily at the purpose-built ETCs.
People coming in with malaria and going home with Ebola. And this represents a real issue within the health system, in that the health system needs more support. The health system needs to be safer.
Doctors and locals agree it's time to change tack if they're going to beat the disease.
Community groups have started organising public debates as a way to restore people's confidence in the medical teams. The idea is people can ask questions and talk about their concerns. The Catholic Church is running announcements on the radio. For my part, I'm a theatre director and a teacher. I've put on plays.
Ebola est le sphinx qui engloutit nos âmes. Sans pitié de la taille, il emporte les flammes.
The students and their parents have changed their thinking now that they've seen people die. But they're asking the response teams to do some things differently, to stop taking people away by force for all kinds of symptoms, for instance, and to train local people to work with them.
By the end of May, several NGOs are talking of focusing more on public outreach and consultation. The Red Cross sets up a programme to track rumours about the virus. And some Mai Mai militias lend their support to the response. On June 7th, the WHO said the outbreak had stabilised in Butembo. But it's a long way from over. Cases have been confirmed elsewhere in the region and across the border in neighbouring Uganda.